How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. In today's video, I've got 3 topics to cover, starting out with the Sony executive saying $80 for games is a steal. Then we got to talk about all this marathon drama and why it might be over for this game before it even gets started. And finally, here's why we'll be seeing Hideo Kojima games for a lot longer than a lot of people might have thought. I hope you either had or are having a great weekend depending on when you're watching this video. I got an orange shirt on today because I saw Post Malone. I have been so excited for this concert, got tickets in December. I love country music. I know it's not super popular, especially with, I don't know, it seems like gaming people don't love country at all, but like I'm a huge country fan. Jelly Roll was awesome. I mean, his show could have headlined an entire tour in itself, and then Post Malone, I mean, he brought the roof down, man, at Ford Field. I've never been to a stadium show before, so I was absolutely blown away. So yeah, when I'm playing Forza Horizon 5, I generally just play my own music from Apple Music. It's a lot of country. But yeah, let's jump into the first news story here, which is coming from Shuhei Yoshida. He's been just doing the interview rounds, just spouting off, saying whatever he wants to say. And this is the first thing that I disagree with him on, even if technically speaking, like numbers wise, he might be right. So he was recently on Critical Hit Games, and I don't want to like misquote or paraphrase this because, you know, what he's saying is not popular. So I'm just going to read his actual quote. The segment was about games like Mafia the Old Country or Clair Obscura Expedition 33 being $50. And he was talking about how variable pricing is good. But then later on, what he had to say is, in terms of actual price, $70 or $80 for really great games, I think will still be a steal in terms of the amount of entertainment that the top quality games bring to people compared to other forms of entertainment. So like, I get where he's coming from, right? Like if you talk about a TV show, my favorite show recently is Yellowstone, which really took a nosedive later on in the series, but it was still good by the end. I love the soap opera stuff. The amount of time you get for that investment is nowhere near the amount of time you get even for budget, quote unquote, video games like Expedition 33. I mean, that's like a 40-50 hour game and they were charging $50 for it. So it's like $1 an hour, which is a pretty good deal. GTA 5, I mean, you could have gotten it for free over the years, but like even for $60, the amount of content you get in the single player and multiplayer with GTA Online is like, you know, it's a pretty big get for your investment. But like, I still don't really agree with the sentiment that we're getting a steal when you've had a standard forever that like $50 or $60 was the cost of entry for games. I mean, that's what people are just going to be conditioned to expect to pay. So it's more on the developers to kind of say, hey, people are expecting to pay $50 or $60 for games or even $40 because that's what a game like Expedition 33 would have cost in the last generation. We should limit our scope and the amount of money we have to spend on these games to make it worth it for us to keep a game at that price point. Like, I think there are a few outliers which justify a $70 or $80 price. If Red Dead Redemption 2 came out today, I think I would be fine paying $70 for it because it's a finely tuned, technically rich experience that has a lot of detail packed in, a great story that lasts over 50 hours. The online component, while it was abandoned, if it came out today, I'd feel like I got my money's worth at $70, but other games like, I don't know, like Forza Horizon 5, for example, if they had charged $70 for that, despite the fact that you get a lot of content, the amount of scope and scale is completely different to something like Red Dead Redemption 2 or even Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5's graphics have aged quite a lot. It is a 13-year-old game after all, but still from a content and quality standpoint, I wouldn't be too upset paying $70 for it. But like, the problem is, developers who definitely don't justify charging $70 or $80 for games are the ones who are going to, because, you know, they're businesses, but they're really just out of touch with reality. Like the people running these companies at the very top, they don't play games. Like Strauss Zelnick, the guy who runs Take-Two, they don't play games. That's my point. They don't really see the actual quality. They just see like nice graphics and they're like, oh, people are going to buy this because it looks nice. They don't know the minutia. They don't know the actual like storytelling aspect. They don't know the gameplay aspect. So like to them, $80 for an Unreal Engine 5 game is going to seem great because it looks like a freaking Marvel movie. But to us, the people who actually play the games, we're like, no, that's not holding water because you've like not finished your game. It has massive stuttering issues, frame rate drops, the amount of quality content that's there is just not up to par. So we don't feel like it's worth $80 for a lot of those games. This video is sponsored by Scry and their Arctic PS5 coolers. No matter which PS5 you've got, they've got a cooler for you. The Arctic V2's got you covered for the PS5 launch model. The Arctic S has you covered for the PS5 Slim, and of course, they have a Pro model. It's called the Arctic Pro for the PS5 Pro. There's a bunch of reasons you'd want a cooler for your PS5, but the main one is with games getting more graphically intensive because they're just supporting the PS5, having a cooler will keep it running at optimal temperatures the entire time you're gaming. And if you like multiplayer games like me, these things are essential because they stop random frame skips, stutters, and all that weird wonkiness that comes from a hot console. And with how expensive PS5s are getting around the world, having a cooler will be helpful because it'll extend the longevity of your console, so you'll never have to replace it. And with that protection, you also get the added benefit of peak performance the entire time you're gaming on your PlayStation 5. I've used these coolers for years, and I'm happy to say that Scry is giving us a special discount. All you have to do is click the link in the description and you'll get early bird pricing, which will be cheaper than what it'll cost on their website. Once again, huge shout out to Scry for sponsoring this video. I don't think he's completely wrong because there are games that are a steal at $70 or $80 like Red Dead Redemption 2 would have been. But like, I keep going back to Red Dead 2 because the amount of games on that list that are actually worth that amount of money, I'm sorry, it's just really not that big. I mean, I'd have to really sit here and think about games that I'd be willing to pay that much for. And even then, it wouldn't be a 10 list. It would be like a 5 or 6 games list because, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming out all the time and there's a high bar of quality that has to be met. I'm sorry. Especially when you look back to the era that I grew up in with the PS2, the original Xbox, even to some extent the PS3 and Xbox 360, it seems like as time has gone on and they've increased their scope and the graphical potential, which increases the budget, they've reduced the actual art of the game to like a bunch of just little purchase sort of spin-offs, like, you know, microtransactions, making sure there's DLC packs in production before the game even comes out. Street Fighter 4 had a massive controversy when it launched because there was DLC on the disc that they planned to sell later. And then of course the famous horse armor from Oblivion, which they made a joke about in the remake. And like, yeah, it's been long enough where you can turn it into a joke, but that doesn't remove the entire fact of the matter, which is that was incredibly stupid to take content that was in the game and charge $5 for it. Like, microtransactions are dumb at the end of the day. I get it in a game like GTA Online that needs constant money coming in to actually keep making the content because they can't sell a game for $60, continue making content for it and never charge for that content again. And if you want to keep people playing, make most of it free, but then charge for a little bit of it. Hunt Showdown, another example, it's a live service game, but they're really good about only charging for skins. You know, there's games that do justify microtransactions for sure, but they're not the only ones doing it. We see it in single player games all the time. So until companies start pulling back on the extra bullshit we have to deal with just buying a game that we're probably spending $70 on at this point in time, I don't think we should give them any grace on being able to charge that much. Like, if they want to increase prices, there better be a noticeable improvement in the amount of quality games that are being released. And I don't think that's the case, especially this generation with how many problems we've seen with performance, discs being game keys that don't even have the game finished and they're still working on it up to the deadline. Like, there's a myriad of different news stories I could bring up that really justify my point. But if you watch this channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say games have gone down mostly in technical quality while being more expensive, and it doesn't make sense. It's a tricky balance to walk, but like, it's not a problem on us to solve. We're the one paying for a product. We're the one paying for entertainment at the end of the day. We give them a lot of money. It is 100% on them to get their in order and start putting budgets in place, deadlines in place, and actually sticking to them and making sure that the product they release when it comes out is actually finished. Until they do that, I don't want to hear that $70 or $80 games are a steal because it's just not happening. It's not a steal and it never will be. It's just not. It simply isn't. That's not living in reality. But yeah, speaking of companies that completely rip off and take advantage of their audience, let's talk about Bungie here. Sony's biggest mistake in terms of buying a studio. Like, when that happened, I was loving Destiny 2. I didn't see how far it was falling off because it hadn't happened yet. But now I think that's one of the worst purchases Sony has ever made. And it was clearly, they got duped by whoever sold them at Bungie. Like, the higher ups or whoever was putting this up for sale, they completely duped Sony with this purchase. It's insane. So this news story is centered around an artist called Anti-Real who tweeted out a bunch of screenshots from the Marathon Alpha and then tweeted out screenshots from years ago from their portfolio. And it immediately became clear that there is a ton of art lifted directly from Anti-Real's portfolio. Like, not not just taken and changed a little bit like the homework meme. Like they just straight up took their art and put it in the game. It's on like containers, it's on levels, it's on ships and everything. Like it's all over the game. So Bungie was silent for like 24 hours when this happened, and then they had a live stream scheduled for the next day that they scheduled before all this news came out, and then they were like, okay, we're going to do the live stream. They acknowledged it right at the beginning. They said it was an old employee who did it, and like they're going to go through the entire game, strip all this stuff out, and they couldn't show any gameplay during the actual stream because, you know, there's a bunch of stolen art in the stream. So that's a disaster in itself. So even if this was the first time Bungie did this, I don't think there'd be a lot of grace, mainly because no one really is extremely hyped for this game. Like I think the hype max is out at like I'm interested in trying it, and I feel like the fact that it's $40 or more is what's really turning people off to it. Like you can't just try it out, and the alphas have all been closed for a game that's coming out in September. So like you're not really giving anyone a real chance to actually try the game, but the people who have tried it don't really love it. So like even if this was the first time they lifted people's art, I don't think people would be giving them much grace because the game outside of its art doesn't look that amazing. Like the gunplay is not good compared to Destiny 2. The fact that it's PvP really only, there's no real PvE element, is really turning people off, and the maps just feel empty. It's just not coming together. And the fact that their big sort of differentiator between this and other games like Tarkov or Hunt Showdown is that it's a hero shooter, that's really turning people off. Like they picked the wrong way to differentiate because people are kind of over hero shooters. But this isn't anywhere close to the first time Bungie's done this. They have lifted fans' art so many times. I think like 3 or 4 official times. They're even getting sued for the Red War story being lifted from someone's blog. And to be fair, that one looks like it's not really going to hold water, but like when there's smoke, there's fire, right? Like if I thought they might have stolen my work and I saw that they've stolen a lot of artists' work, I would do the lawsuit because they've done it. So like I'd feel kind of emboldened. Like, yeah, maybe they did steal my story for Destiny 2. They should have just hired the person because that just makes so much sense. I don't know. I wish they just made Destiny 3. That's what people have wanted. I understand that you have to get new IP out there because there's always going to be diminishing returns, but like Bungie's a big enough studio where like it shouldn't be one or the other. You shouldn't have to move the core talent off of Destiny to make Marathon, especially with how small Marathon looks. Like 3 maps at launch, like just a few heroes, not a ton of guns. Like, I don't know. I was excited to try a new extraction shooter, but like it just doesn't feel right to me personally. And it's not really a Sony problem because this game was in development before Sony bought Bungie. So like, I hope they can figure it out. I think the real move would be to either delay it massively and rebuild it from the ground up and make it a good extraction shooter that competes with the other ones instead of just being smaller and different, or just move on. Get Destiny 3 in production, make it the best it can be, and then worry about other stuff later. Like they've got that new team LFG working on stuff, but yeah, I don't know. This situation is just disappointing, and I'm sure it's disappointing for Sony, who spent $79 billion or something on Bungie. Like, wow. That sucks. But yeah, speaking about creators with a ton of talent, I noticed this news story going around over the weekend and I was like, this is crazy. So Hideo Kojima, it's no secret that he's getting up there. He's well past his 50s, but he's still cranking out games, right? Like Death Stranding 2 is going to be the last game for a little while in the Death Stranding series. He's going to work on Physint, which apparently is going to be like his spiritual successor to Metal Gear. I'm very excited about that after especially seeing the combat in Death Stranding 2. Like I want to see where you can take that and the combat in Metal Gear Solid 5, because even though that game's like 10 years old now, the combat in Metal Gear Solid 5 is like some of the best third-person shooting ever. And I'm just like kind of worried, right? Like he's getting older. Who knows how long he's going to be able to make games, but it seems like his ideas are going to outlive him, because in an interview surrounding Death Stranding, he said he left a bunch of game ideas for his team on a USB stick that will be given to them in the like bad case, obviously, that he passes away. I don't know. Like if he's giving his full blessing for his team to actually take his ideas and run with them, I feel like there's no problem with that, especially if it's this small team that he shepherded from the ground up, which it is, because when he started Kojima Productions, he was in like a 1-room office and now he's grown it into a full studio. Like he built it, he had to restart his career like at the middle point, like at his peak, right? Like after Metal Gear Solid 5, which is one of the best rated, highest selling Metal Gear games ever, he had to restart from the ground up. So clearly he had a close relationship with all the people he hired to work on these games. So like if anyone's going to be able to take those ideas and run with them, it's these people, because it's not like he's building these games himself, right? Like, he's directing them, he's writing them, he's giving the team the direction they need, but like, clearly he's shepherding a lot of strong talent that probably would be able to make his ideas live up to what he would be able to do. I want to say, like, at the very least, if he does have to retire because he gets sick, or like, God forbid, he passes away, I mean, like, we'll see his ideas for a little while longer into the future. But I've never heard of a big creator doing this, like putting all of their game ideas on a USB stick and giving it to their team and saying, open this when I die. Like, it's really bleak, but it is kind of interesting, and I wonder if they'd be able to pull it off. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this one. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.